今日の曜日、水曜日. Today is June 12th, 2024 here in Pacifica, California. 12 miles south of San Francisco, MedakaMetal style, 50 to 63 Fahrenheit was the temperature. Oh boy, let me just take a real quick sip. I'm going to be talking about eggs. Had a lot of requests to asking about like what do you do after collecting the eggs. So I did something about collecting eggs, but last week I'll put a link. I guess this is what the professionals say. I will put a link to that video in the show comments or the notes. So if you're unfamiliar about what the hell I'm talking about, you'll know. Before I do that, let me just take a real quick sip. The best beer of the day is the one that I am having with all you Medaka heads out there. This one's for you. Kanpai Chin Chin Chayo. Oh boy. Oh yeah, that was the best beer of the day. Can number 2 after coming back from work. So, all right, to summarize what I talked about last time, I talked about first from, I have some brewskis. I don't have brewskis. These are my, what I call the metal riffs. The 4 dark ones, 2 males, 2 females in here. I have a spawning mop. From the spawning mop, I will put them in a clear container like this, right? And that's where we started, as in you and I, started the conversation a couple videos ago. And then from here, I used a napkin to clean the eggs, and they ended up in a blue clear solution like this. The blue is methylene blue. I use methylene blue. It's to disinfect the fungus and all that stuff. So I think that's where I left off. So as you could see, each of these containers, it holds about a cup of water. I put about, roughly a week's worth of eggs. All the black dots you see, they're actually, it's them. It's the embryo. It's the big eyes and all that. So from here, actually, during this stage, what I do is every 2 days or so, I dump this water out and I put, same temperature water, tap water, and I put a drip of methylene blue. Again, if you don't have methylene blue, it's okay. It just helps in avoiding fungus from growing. Tap water is okay. You don't have to use dechlorinated water. Tap water actually helps to kill bacteria in this fungus. It's not going to penetrate through the egg to kill or harm the embryos inside. So that's what this is. And 2 days before you know your first one is going to hatch, I float them into in my case, since I don't have room, a 5-gallon. No, I got really specific, like 2 days before. So how do I know when they're going to be born? So here's a quick math, okay? Super quick. So if you are in the world where we go by Fahrenheit, here's the math. So the average temperature, whatever Fahrenheit you are in, that number minus 32. I should just show this. The average Fahrenheit minus 32 times 0.55. You'll get a number. Divide that number by 250. So for simplicity, F minus 32 times 0.55 equals, let's say it is 25. So now you divide 250 by 25, and you get 10. So, in 10 days, the egg's going to hatch. So again, like I mentioned here, I have a week's worth. So you got to calculate it by the first egg that you basically put it in there, right? That's when the clock starts ticking. So obviously you're going to have like about a 7-day lag, but it's okay. So 2 days before the hatch day, what I do is empty out this water again. Empty out meaning just pouring this out where you just have a tiny puddle left. And then I put in dechlorinated tap water. Okay? Dechlorinated tap water this time. Because you know they're going to start hatching, and you don't want any chlorine or chloramine in there. After that, I will dip it into a empty tank, like what I have ready here. Okay? The water I use, this is super aged water. So from the point when it's brand spanking new, it looks like there was something living in here, because there was something living in here prior to this. I had the parents swimming in here, preparing the water for these fry. Again, old water is good. There's tons of like microorganisms swimming around. That's why over here in the back you see an old mop. There's no eggs in there, guaranteed. You don't want to mix the breeds or lineages. The old sponge filter is there. I know there are no eggs left on there, so that's been cleaned. And this is like water that's been in here for about like, I don't know, a couple weeks, just cycling. Like you have just organic matter building up and all that stuff. And the reason why you want to do that is fry. They just want to continue to eat. And because they are so small, you know how difficult it is to give them artificial food. Everything is pretty much too big for them. So you got to rely on water that's been seasoned. I like to use green water. This time I don't have green water. Green water, I mean, that green is like food. It's phytoplanktons, I think that's the right term. So I like using green water. I don't have green water this time, but I have good seasoned water. All right, so long story short, let me go back to where we began. So you do the math, right? So now you know when your first little sucker is going to hatch. 2 days before that, right? Put dechlorinated clear water. You're no longer using this blue methylene blue water if you happen to do that. And I dip it in this tank, in a tank. This tank typically I have heated to mid to high 70s. Since I don't like to put heaters in every single tank, I have a heater in this tank and I have a heater in this tank. The center one does not. But since it's sandwiched, I mean, let's say this is 78, this is probably like 72. So it's still warmer than room temperature here in Pacifica, California. Fry will grow if it's warmer temps. So now from tap water that I poured room temperature, I'm going to float this in here. And again, you don't want sudden temperature changes. Even at an egg stage, sudden changes will affect the embryo inside, and sometimes it'll kill them, right? So pH fluctuations and all that, to me, it's more about the temperature fluctuations, I think. So you see a lot of fry swimming in here, but, you know, let's rewind. Pretend there's just eggs in here. There's still eggs in here that is yet to hatch. Let me see if I could get a top view. As this, can we see? So those black dots are all still eggs. Okay. So you throw them in here. Should I even attempt to zoom in to see if I could get the eggs? You see those black dots? Those are eggs, right? So you're just going to have all these eggs in there. And then 2 days after you put them in here, you're going to start seeing fry popping up or popping out one by one. And when you come back from work or whatnot, you're going to see them swimming around. And you're like, all right, these are beautiful. And now that since this container has been floating in here for at least 2 days, you know that the water temperature is the same as where I am about to release these suckers. So from here, once you start seeing one hatch, let me see if I could even capture this. If you can't see 2 times. So after I come home, I'm like, oh yeah, they're hatching. Awesome. I'm going to release them into the intended aquarium. It's a 5-gallon aquarium, by the way. Can you see what's going on? Sorry, I'm concentrating on what the hell I'm doing. And I pour them in there as much as I can. If you drop some eggs in there while you're doing this, don't worry about it, because they're going to hatch anyways. Alright, so pretty much 100% of what I saw is out, and I'm left with some eggs still, right? Is this zooming in properly? Alright, and now I am going to carefully, without trying to re-suck up the fry that I just caught, I'm going to fill this cup up with this aquarium water. So like I've mentioned, you float this container in 2 days before the first one. And every single time you're repeating this process every day. So you're going to have like a week's worth of eggs in there, and they're going to hatch in, within about 8 days. Every single one that's about to hatch will hatch. You're going to be doing this every day. So in a way, you're now introducing aquarium tank water into this holding facility. And now you really have to be careful, because you don't want to crush the fry that just swam out against the aquarium and this container. I think I'm good. All right. So now they're free willy. They're not free willy, but now they're swimming in the main tank that they're going to be in here for a while, until they get to about at least half an inch or 2/3 of an inch. And it's really hard to show, but here, I bet you, maybe over here. So basically, different lineage over here, but I'm doing the same thing. But you'll see a bunch like swimming around. It's just a mess in here right now, but they're all in there. All right, so the setup for this tank, I like to keep it at least 75 up to 82. I try to keep this at 78 or 80 along with this, to try to keep this up to at least mid 70s. So that's what the temperature is. No water change at all. Water parameters will change. And fry, hariko, they really don't want the water to change. So even if you think the water is getting a little dirty, it's okay. It's okay. Just don't overfeed. Because overfeeding is good to bring pneumonia up and all that stuff. So they're going to end up in here for at least, I like to get them up to about 2/3 of an inch. Ideally, I would only want 20, but realistically, I mean, it's whatever eggs that I have in here. And for me, this is the most difficult, challenging part. Like, I suck. I think I'm good at getting eggs, or preserving eggs so that they'll hatch. But after that, to me, it's still a challenge. So here's one where, so you don't see the container, because after 7 days, what I do is, regardless of the eggs have hatched or not, I just dump everything in the aquarium, right? These fellas have been in here for 2 weeks. Or the first one that was born has been in here for 2 weeks. And, it's no sense counting. I mean, there was probably around 40. There's probably less now, because this is where my struggle is. I'm not home all day. I'm not able to feed them multiple times a day. If you're home all day, again, you live once, right? But you feed as little as possible multiple times a day. Breeders in Japan will feed up to like 7 times a day, but very, 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 very little portions, right? Because you don't want any food to be left over. Leftover food is just going to damage the water, and like I have mentioned, you don't change the water. You don't want to change the water. If the water evaporates too much, you could add water, make sure the temperature is the same a little bit. But as you can see, even the can you even see, it's even hard to see. I mean, the filter is working, but it's just enough to move the surface, right? The surface is moving, which you want, but you don't want it moving so much where the fry is fighting against the current, because that'll kill some of them, right? They're going to use up their energy while they're looking for food, and they're like, man, I can't find food. So again, 75 to 80 is what I like temperature wise. If I could keep everything at 80, I would keep it at 80 actually in the beginning stages. Feeding as many times as possible, very little portions. For me, I only feed them 2.5 times a day. Once in the morning, once I get home, and then once a few hours after that, with just crumbled up, what am I using? Gex Grow, super powder form, and that's what they get. And hopefully they're getting nutrients from all the stuff that they could find in the water. That's all microscopic and stuff that we can't find. So hopefully that answered some of the questions that I've been getting. Again, for me, the challenge is not this part. The challenge is after they hatch. The other thing is, while you're here, you see that fuzzy one? That egg is dead. And it's starting to fungus up. So what you want to do is, when you have the time, you just get a siphon like this, and you just siphon out that egg and toss them out. Because the fungus will continue to grow, and once it gets on a egg that is viable, it's going to just fungus up and end up killing the egg. So there's still all these eggs, right? I still have to dump this container out. So you'll see the fry that was born since the last time I was doing this, so 24 hours ago. When you're down to maybe a handful of eggs, just dump everything in and they'll be fine. So that's it. Hopefully I was able to explain a process, the egg process. So it started from here, collecting, again, collecting from this mop. I do it at night, throw them in, I scoop up this water here, I throw the eggs in here, leave it overnight. The following day, now that I know that the temperature of this heated water is now room temperature, since it's been sitting out for 24 hours or so, I clean the eggs, like the video, I'll leave a link. I toss them in another container that has, in this case, tap water, methylene blue. I do that process for a week. And after that, I'll start another container basically. In a week, I mean, that's enough. If you're collecting more eggs, you're gonna have to use a lot of these, and pretty soon you're gonna run out of space. Since I don't have too many breeding, a week is enough per lineage for a container. And then you do the cleaning process every other day or whatever, methylene blue. 2 days before, you know the first one's gonna hatch. No more methylene blue. I used dechlorinated water, tap water at that time, and I floated in. And you'll have to have containers, some type of container ready. And this whole process goes, it repeats itself. I'm probably repeating myself too much, but then repeating. So again, it takes a lot of space. You want to think, I think a lot of people are just like, I want all these different lineages, but just you got to start thinking about space. How much space do you have? How much space do you have outdoors, or do you need to keep them indoors because of the temperature situation and all that? So just be aware, or just plan. For me, I don't want any more lineages. I love them, but I just can't keep any more. I don't have space. But again, I'm talking about doing everything indoors. Certain lineages, certain locations, depending on where you live in, you don't even have to do any of this indoors. You just do everything natural outdoors, and it'll be all fine. So everything, it's all experience. It's just what suits your lifestyle. There is no one way of doing things. This is not the best way. This is the way I'm doing it now, and hopefully I'll find another better way. But again, it's just trial and error. Again, try to figure out what works for you with your environment, your time, your lifestyle, and the temperature or the region of what part of the world you live in. It'd be great if you could do everything outdoors, actually. In my case, I can't, so. All right, enough of me. I thought I was going to just talk for 10 minutes, but it's double that, so I need to go grab another beer, and we'll do it again next time. For everybody that has been supporting me with purchasing the gex and all that stuff, again, DM is on Instagram at MedakaMetal. Contact me there if you are interested. I got the second wave in. They are available. So far, the feedback's been great. Thank you. Yes, just take a real quick sip. I'm still playing around with this Zoom thing, with this black magic up, and hopefully it's not that bad. So, all right, we'll do it again, MedakaMetal style, here from Pacifica, California, 12 miles south of San Francisco. All right, over and out. All right, see you. Happy Medaka outs.